Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Canadian Dream podcast. We are here, episode 36. Time flies. That's all I'm saying. It's crazy. 36 episodes in. Today we have an awesome episode. I just finished recording it. It was over Skype. We had some Skype difficulties, but I think it all worked out. Just because, I don't know, it's 2019. I'm still using Skype. I don't know what's going on. I need to grow up. I don't know. It was just some technical difficulties, to be honest, because Skype, that's just what it is. Okay. But today I had a special guest on. His name is Wes Bush, and he is a product-led growth marketer. He is an expert in helping products grow. Products specifically in like software as a service, and like apps, games, all that sort of stuff. So that's sort of what his niche of marketing is. And he gives some fantastic tips about how to grow a product, how to design a product that provides value that people will latch on to, like a Netflix or a Dropbox. He gives some great tips. We also talk about fitness, riding a bike. We also talk about travel, him traveling the world, creating a vagabonding business, a business where he is able to vagabond. That's what I meant. Vagabonding, fantastic book by Rolf Potts. I keep dropping book recommendations in this podcast. It's all good though. But yeah, this episode was fantastic. We talk about a lot of stuff. I can't talk. Okay, I can't talk. But yeah, we go over a lot of topics. It was a fantastic episode. You will learn a lot. So if you're into entrepreneurship, if you're into digital marketing, if you're into software, technology, branding, anything, very good episode. You'll learn a lot, okay? Make sure you check out Wes Bush. He's on all social media. He's on LinkedIn. That's basically his primary network, because he's always posting stuff, but you can find him on Twitter and all that sort of other stuff at Wes Bush. Okay? Check out his growth summit, his product-led growth summit. I will give you the URL. It is Product-Led Institute. Okay? Check it out. I will give you the URL to the actual summit. So productled.com or summit.productled.com. He has a product-led growth summit coming up with a lot of great minds, and they're going to be talking about like, how do you market this product? Just very good ideas about people actually applying marketing to software products and, applications and stuff like that. So if you want to learn more, check it out, summit.productled.com. Also, he just recently published his first book, and it's called Product-Led Growth, and you can find it on Amazon. You can find it on the website, productled.com. And make sure you buy it. I think there's an ebook copy, so the Amazon ebook, but there's also the standard paperback. So check that out. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to be definitely putting that on my shelf in the next couple of weeks. So I will let you guys know once I read it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So let's just hop into this podcast. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to catch up. We met years ago at a conference, and we did a little e-meeting here. And you guys can sort of pick up some tips, get some inspiration for your own products, your own side projects, how to promote yourself, all that sort of stuff. So let's just hop into this podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy episode 36 of the Living the Canadian Dream podcast.
The Canadian Dream.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Bradley Thompson here, and this is episode 36 of the Living the Canadian Dream podcast. We are back. Today, we got a special guest. We got Wes Bush. He's here. Here, I guess. It's like electronically here. Over Skype. We're recording over Skype. We are reviving Skype. Shout out to Microsoft. They finally got my information. But yeah, Wes, you can introduce yourself. But yeah, we've known each other for a little while. We haven't seen each other for years. We actually met at a conference years ago. What conference was it? It was do you remember what conference it was?
That's the thing.
Oh,
I actually don't remember the name of it.
it was you know what? It just came to me. Next Gen Dinner Series.
Ah,
It was,
yes, that was
yeah,
it.
by Ad Lounge and Boost Agents. Shout out to Trina Boost. Amazing person. But yeah, that's where we met. We were at like the same table for like I think it was like the tech marketing table, something like that. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. That's
it's
it. So introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, sort of what you're about. And yeah, let's just get into it.
So my name is Wes, and I am all about SaaS. To me, there's nothing more exciting than selling software and building incredible software products. I don't know what it is. It's just one of those weird things where it's like, I really like this. And since kind of getting into the SaaS space, I've always been drawn to demand generation. And I think it's really just this most fascinating field ever. When you think about how what you kind of pitch someone can really turn into a business and really helping those people at the end of the day, help them with some problem that your software solves. And so by really focusing in on demand generation, I've really seen that there's been a lot of different ways you can sell software. You can employ expensive sales teams that are going to drive your overhead up really, really high. And that's not actually necessary. There's a lot of different ways you can grow your software business. And what I'm really passionate about now is this thing called product-led growth, which is we're all familiar with it, at least on the consumer side. Whether you sign up for Netflix or Spotify, they're all using free trial or freemium models to really grow their business. And what's kind of shocking the B2B software space right now is just that they're figuring out, oh, wait a minute. Consumers actually prefer this sales process versus this long, drawn out sales process that we have previously been using to sell software. So big shocker there. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to.
That's awesome. So you can hit a couple keywords that, jargon words that people might not know. So SaaS is obviously software as a service, but people that aren't into marketing, they might not know. Break down what product-led growth is. Just like briefly, give like a one sentence description for people that may not know what it is.
Yeah. So
I know you did like a very detailed one, but like for the people that just want like a bite-sized snippet, break it down.
Definitely. So product-led growth is really when you use your product to acquire customers. And so if you think of the example of Netflix, you sign up for Netflix, you experience the value of the product. If you like it, you upgrade and you don't actually talk to anyone in sales. And so that's really what product-led growth is. It's really just making sure that you're cutting out all that friction in your sales process and just helping people experience the value of your product.
For sure. Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, like that's very descriptive. And everybody can relate to Netflix because obviously everybody's on Netflix. I don't think anybody's really using Amazon Prime Video because there's absolutely no selection there. So shout out to Amazon Prime real quick. They actually had a crazy Prime Day. Did you buy anything yesterday?
Just phone cases. It's nothing fancy.
That's always good, man. I honestly there's always stuff showing up on my house for Prime. It's just I have a problem. I just like tech. I don't know. It's cheaper to honestly get stuff on Prime. But yeah, let's go through what sort of you're up to right now in your life. I know you have a few things on the go. You just published a book. You have like your summit coming up as well.
Yes.
And then I know you're doing a couple other things. So give us a little bit of a breakdown about what you're doing in your life right now.
Yeah, so I recently wrote the book on product-led growth, and that came out in May. And so that's been really exciting just to kind of get that out in the world because there really isn't a playbook out there that at least I felt for product-led growth and how to really use this approach to business. It's just like there's that traditional sales-led approach. And a lot of people, whenever they mess up and try a product-led approach, it's a pretty big mistake. And so I just wanted to help people really figure out, like, is it right for you or not? And if so, here's how to do it. So that's what the book is all about. And then the summit, like you mentioned, that is really, it started off like this big passion project. I was like, let's get a bunch of really smart SaaS people together and really discuss, like, what is product-led growth? How do you do it? And I don't want to just get these speakers who are doing these big speaker rounds to really
Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
I want to actually get the operators, the people doing the work,
Yep,
and they might not be the best speakers, but who cares? They're going to really show you how to do this stuff.
for sure.
And so since the first summit in January, it really took off. And so the next one is actually starting July 22nd. So
Awesome.
coming up really soon.
Awesome. How do people like register for that event?
Yeah, so if you want to register for the Product Led Summit, you could just go to productledsummit.com
Okay.
and check it out. See if there's some talks you're interested in.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that, man. Like that's a very cool project. You're bringing together all these great minds, people that are doing stuff that they love, people that are doing stuff that, is changing the business that they work for. You know what I mean? That's awesome.
Definitely.
And I know you're huge on LinkedIn. I always see you on LinkedIn. That's your favorite platform. I know that. And it's great to see you connecting all these people because like it's one thing to like just like have a conversation with somebody one-on-one, be like, "Oh, give me, some of your tips and tricks," which is what some people do, but you're sort of bringing people together and sort of sharing that information with everybody. So that's awesome. I love that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. Are you doing anything else in your life right now? But are those the two projects? You're also doing consulting and stuff like that as
Yeah,
well?
so I'm also doing consulting,
Yeah.
and I guess on the personal side, I also built a business to travel, and so yeah, I've been
Awesome.
doing quite a bit of that. But yeah, it's a nice way to really kind of see different parts of the world. I just spent a bunch of time in Thailand, Chiang Mai specifically,
Wow.
and
Awesome.
I love it there. And I mean, if you really want to curb your like Amazon addiction over there,
Yeah,
just go to a country where you can't trust the mail system. It works
that's
like a
true.
charm.
That's
You're
true.
like, do I really
Wow.
want to spend this money and potentially never get this item? Probably not.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. So how long were you in Thailand for?
Yeah, so I was there on and off for over a year.
Wow, man. That's awesome. You must like it.
Oh, it's an amazing spot.
Yeah, I've never been, but I hear great things about it. Did you like stay on like a resort, or I'm guessing Airbnb, like some or hostels? Like what sort of stuff did you do?
No, we just leased at a condo, my
Oh, that's
partner.
awesome. That's sweet. That's sweet. So was there any real purpose behind going to Thailand, or was it just sort of to like do remote work, like just sort of experience it? Because
Yeah,
that's
so
really vagabond bonding, because you're over there for over a year, even if it's off and on. That's
yeah,
vagabonding.
definitely. And so the big impetus for me, at least, whenever I started the business, I wanted to be able to have that freedom where I could kind of operate this business anywhere I wanted, but
Yep.
I also didn't want to sacrifice my career and not be able to really grow professionally and do things that I'm really passionate about. Because at least at that time, it felt like a lot of remote work. It's like you're going to take this serious pay cut.
Yep.
Number one. Number two is you're probably going to do some like repetitive task where someone doesn't really need to manage you that well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was just like, no, and no, I want to do something else and try and figure out how to make this work. So yeah, that was kind of the one of the big, I guess, motivating factors for starting my business.
That's really cool. I really like that. Like that's really the Tim Ferriss model. For people that don't know Tim Ferriss, the 4 Hour Work Week, incredible book. He talks a lot about that. Like, even like, outsourcing his personal assistant, but living abroad and doing stuff that he loves, making an income. That's awesome. That's sweet. And I really like that. That's like the real modern way to like, start like a business, even if it's consulting or if it's something even online,
Hmm.
is to not like have roots in the ground. Obviously, local businesses are important. They're huge.
Definitely.
I'm in one right now, and but like there's different ways that people start businesses, and like that new way is very trendy. You don't have feet in the ground. You can go anywhere you want, but people are doing it and they're making a living out of it. And they're changing the world because they're able to do. They're not constricted. You know what I mean? I really like
Hmm.
that. That's cool. It takes guts. Takes guts too, for sure. I like that. That's cool. That's very cool. Um, so tell us a little bit about your book. Why did you make this book? Like, who is it for? What's the whole purpose behind it?
Yeah, so at the beginning, I really just mentioned whenever it comes to SaaS and
Hmm.
really growing a software business, I had made so many mistakes. And so whenever it came to, let's say, launching a free trial or figuring out how to actually get users to turn into customers, I made so many mistakes.
For
And I
sure.
really figured that I wasn't the only one who was making all these mistakes. And so at that time, it just became more clear to me, especially if you just look at the consumer space and seeing like how are these businesses growing, and all of them, for the most part, if they were hitting whether it's the top of the app charts
Mm-hmm.
or just growing really fast, they all had a product-led model.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just became very clear to me that in the B2B software world, this is just gonna happen.
Yeah.
People from their personal and business lives, I know sometimes we like to think they're different. They're
Yep.
not,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to how you want to use the software. And so it just became something where like I really need to help a lot of people figure out how to navigate product-led growth because
Mm-hmm.
there's such a big demand for these companies. And once you get to a certain scale, like if you mess up, this could be a multi-million dollar mistake if you don't know what you're doing. And so that's one of the fun things about it too, is it's a really impactful change for a business to make, but it's also pretty awkward if you make things
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So, do you have a key reader that you want to read this book? Is it specifically marketers, business owners, like people that want to be entrepreneurs? Like, what sort of what's your target audience?
Yeah, so whenever I wrote the book, I try to write it for basically a couple of my clients. And so it's built really for CEOs of
Mm-hmm.
a B2B software business who are thinking about really like if they have a sales-led business, how do you actually go and navigate the product-led world? And so I'm really trying to be unbiased as I know I'm biased,
For
but
sure.
whenever it comes to like, should you actually become a product-led business? Because it's not actually the right fit for every business. I
Yeah,
mean, some businesses really do need sales teams, and especially if there's
for
more
sure.
like hand holding, touching, like even consulting, that's sales led. So you really
Of
have to
course.
decide like, okay, what is the best fit for your specific business, your industry, and if so, okay, what's next, and how do you actually roll this out?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I really like that because a lot of people might get confused like, oh, like you can make any business product like growth. Like you can obviously have those elements. Like I've read a lot of books over the years, like Growth Hacker Marketing by Ryan Holiday, like Hacking Growth by Sean Ellis, like fantastic books. And they all talk about like product-led growth strategies, really, like that's what it is. Um, but yeah, a lot of people, if you get confused and you think that, oh, should I just make this, just product led growth? Does there have to be human interaction? Like you definitely need some human interaction for a lot of businesses. Like you can't have a product led growth, barbershop, but you can have elements of product led growth. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
I like that. Like I think that's a very like important thing to understand is that like even though it might not be fully product led growth, you can have those elements, which is sweet.
Yeah, and like you just reminded me of something too. Like even you look at Costco, it's like that's not a software product,
Yeah.
but they sure as hell are using a product-led approach, especially with
Oh,
those
for sure.
samples. They get
Yeah.
you.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's true though. Like, and like a lot of these business that like automate, even like just make their processes just like dialed in, like they're just dialed in processes. Like a lot of them have those elements that you see in like these Dropbox like companies. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Um, so I know you have a few different lessons in that book. I haven't read it yet. I need to read it. I'm in the middle of a few books, so I will definitely get to it. But I was reading like the summary and stuff like that. And I know you mentioned like a few different lessons. Can you break down the three? I think you have like three different sort of main categories. Is that what it is? Like,
Yeah,
can you
definitely.
can you break that down a little bit just for people? I know those are like probably your guiding principles in general, because obviously you wrote the book. So if you can break those down for us, that'd be sweet.
Definitely. Yeah. So the first part of the book is really just about how, like, is product-led growth right for you?
Hmm.
And so, like we mentioned before, like there is a lot of companies where, yeah, it might not be the right fit, but if it is,
Yeah,
this is the biggest opportunity in your whole business's history if you really tackle this and you're early and you really kind of nail that whole approach to building a business
for
because
sure.
you'll have a better customer acquisition model, you'll be able to scale faster,
Hmm.
and there's just so many benefits. And so the second part of it is just how do you build that product led foundation? So if you've
Hmm.
identified, like, all right, product led growth can work for us, what are those three main things that you need to do. And so I really walk through what I believe is the product-led foundation, which is just really understanding your customer. And then once you can do that, you just got to communicate your value to your market. And then unlike a sales-led business, you got to deliver on that value as soon as humanly possible. And the faster you can deliver on your value, the quicker people are going to actually upgrade. And it's not this whole salesy approach to business. It's just, can we get these people to really understand the value, get to their own aha moment in the product, and come to conclusions on their own? Like, what is the value? And I think when you compare sales-led companies versus product-led, it really comes down to sales-led companies are all about telling you about their value prop, whereas product-led businesses are all about having you experience that value prop. And so they really focus on showing versus telling. And I think that's really the powerful part of product-led growth and why it's working so well for so many businesses. And so the last part of the book is really just taking it a step further and getting really tactical about, okay, we have the foundation in place. How do you build an optimization engine? And so I really walk through a process they can use every single month to optimize your business. And then I also go through the three main levers of your business. So there's retention, there's churn, and then there's how much money you make off of every customer. So that's also known in the SaaS space is called ARPU, or average revenue per user. And so I go through everything you can do for each of those, give you some frameworks, and at the end, it really just comes down to, are you going to do the work? And obviously, if you implement it, you can see some great results.
That's very cool. What is the optimization engine? Can you like briefly describe that? Like, what do you mean by that, in case people don't know?
Yeah, definitely. So it's really just a three-step process where you are going to analyze your business, look through all your core key metrics. And that's, I think in SaaS specifically, people just have access to way too many metrics. And so I really try and boil it down to like, here are at least the main ones you got to check out.
For sure.
And so once you're done analyzing your business, just looking at what it is, you're going to start asking some very important questions about, okay, where can we really focus in on? You're trying to find where are those under leveraged opportunities for you to really grow your business. And so this is nothing new. We all know how to do this. But then the next part is just acting on it, really finding like, okay, where are those priorities for us? And so that's where I really use a really simple ICE framework. You're probably familiar with it. I didn't even invent it. It's in that Hacking Growth book that you mentioned through Sean Ellis. And so you just got to prioritize like, okay, where are the biggest levers we can pull for our business? Is it focusing on increasing customers? Is it focusing on reducing churn? Is it really improving the value for every single customer? And so it's really going to be one of those three. That's all there is in business. More complicated than that. And so you just got to find, okay, what are those specific tactics or strategies that we could use to implement and actually act on them? And so I recommend doing that whole process once a month. And by doing it, you can get really into this cycle of just consistent optimization that can really power your business forward.
Awesome. I like it. And I know like product-led growth, like it has a lot to do with like, freemium models and then the, like the free trial models. So what would you recommend for people, like say they have a product, they have like a new game, they're putting it on Steam or whatever it is. How would you recommend somebody go about like choosing between a freemium model and a free trial model?
Yeah, and so it really comes down to your market and how do you really want to tackle it. So the biggest indicator that I found across all of them, there's four, but I'll go through one just to save everyone time.
But
that's
all good.
It's really just, are you trying to take a differentiated approach to your market? Are you trying to absolutely just crush it, dominate your entire space? Or do you want to disrupt some other people who they might be doing an okay job, but you think they could do better? And so you kind of take a similar marketing strategy or not. So depending on each of these three main growth strategies, it really depends. So if you're, let's say, going with the differentiated approach, what that often means is you're going to solve the job much better than everyone else. And by doing so, you can actually charge more. But
Hmm.
by doing that and making your product usually a little bit more complicated to solve all those extra needs for that specific target audience, free trial usually is a better option just because it's going to be a little bit of a lower conversion rate initially if you have that freemium model because it's going to take a much longer time for someone to actually experience the value of the product. And
Okay.
then there's the dominant approach, which is you got to do the job better than anyone else in your industry and you got to
Hmm.
charge less. It's just like Netflix is a perfect example. They
Yeah.
do an incredible job with having that access to so much content and it's for like a rock bottom price.
Yeah.
No brainer. And so if you want to do that, like whether you use a free trial or freemium model, it's really up to you. In Netflix case, it really wouldn't make sense for them to do a freemium model
Hmm.
if they, let's say, gave you one free movie every month. Like, sure, if you're a binge watcher, you would go and upgrade more, but what they want to do is really give you that full experience for you to experience the product. And so
Yeah.
if you're dominant, it can be either or. If it is disruptive, though, that typically means you're going to do the job worse
Yeah.
than a
Yeah.
lot of people. But you're going to charge like nothing or maybe just a little bit. So, like Google Docs is a perfect example of this.
For sure.
If you look at that versus Microsoft Word, I mean, I don't pay for Google Docs, but I use Google Docs.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's really great service. It's even better in a lot of different ways than Microsoft Word, but it's
Yep.
very specific user. And
Yeah.
so if you're using disruptive, typically freemium is the best option to get people to mass adopt your solution.
Very cool. I like it. Yeah, like it's very interesting because even thinking like, oh, what apps or what games or what products, follow the freemium model versus the free trial model. Like right off the bat, like you can sort of tell that a lot of games they follow the freemium model, like the Fortnites of the world, and they've made a killing off of that. Because obviously they're upselling on things like, skins, all that sort of stuff. If
Yep.
people, if you don't game, you don't know what skins are, but basically like it's these in-app purchases, it's like the Farmville from back in the day.
Yep.
Whereas like, like you think of like apps like, um, I don't even know, like Netflix or like Amazon Prime or like even Stitcher, like my, the podcast app that I always use to listen to. Like they have the free trials, but eventually if you want the premium version, you have to pay for it, which is, I don't know, it's a very interesting dynamic. Um, and I think what you said was accurate because you don't know unless, you actually know the product, what sort of, I guess, what route you should go for your product.
Mhm.
Do you recommend like a lot of experimentation when it comes to that sort of stuff, like figuring out what sort of route you should take? Like what is your thought on that?
Yeah. So the biggest indicator for me is really just time to value. And
Okay,
so if you have a product where it might take a really, really long time for someone to use the product, sometimes a free trial is like a good just proof of concept. People can see it, they can
for
kind of
sure.
demo it, but for them to really fully experience the value, it might take them months and months. The best freemium products that I've seen, they're really just that quick time to value. Like in 5 minutes, I understand the value. I've already
For sure.
got some quick win out of the bottle. I don't know the full product,
Yep.
but it's just set up in a way where I can experience it. So that is like with anything, there's always certain exceptions. Like let's say your product is like a wiki for your
Hmm.
company. Like it's not going to be something a free trial will really make sense. Like sure, I can get up to value, create my
Yeah.
first wiki, but I'm not going to really get to that point where I say, I get the value. It's
Yeah.
just like a Google Doc. I mean,
Yeah.
if the first
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
in a free
No.
trial, and where you
Hmm.
really get the value is when people start using it. And
Yeah.
so there's been some companies, even at the last product led summit, that had tried free trial, but then actually reverted back to a freemium model because it wasn't the like creating that first document that was like, I get the value of a wiki. No,
Hmm.
it was just
Yeah.
actually having 100 people or so at that company using it and really understand the value before they said, yeah, this is totally worth the investment. We would be silly not to invest in this product.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. I really like that. What sort of tips would you give to like a business, whether it's a product business or even a service, when it comes to like onboarding customers? Not even like you can even do the whole sort of customer journey, but like when it comes to onboarding customers in like a product-led growth way.
Yeah. So most of the churn, at least for software companies, which is a space I'm familiar with, I don't know if it's the same for other industries, but it is just on that first 60 days. That's
Okay.
where the majority of them really fail, or they decided, this wasn't worth it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
often because a lot of people treat onboarding like a one-trick pony. It's like you sign up for the product, we are going to throw as much crap at you as possible to try and like make you go through the product, experience
Mm-hmm.
everything. But that's not how people work.
Yeah,
People
for sure.
will just want to have one thing. They might have 5 minutes. They're signing up for a product. Most times it's less than that. And
Yeah.
so you just need to set them up for the next step. So like how can you load your gun so that they're ready to come back the next time whenever you
Mm-hmm.
fire off an email to them and say, "Hey, like we have your data. We have something useful for you to come back." And
Mm-hmm.
it's not just like, come back, please.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
have you been? It's been 30 days. Like,
Yeah,
no,
no,
nobody
no, for
buys
sure.
those emails. And it's really just thinking strategically about, okay, how can we get this person back? And so I think to answer your question about like, how do you tackle churn as well as customer onboarding, it really
Mm-hmm.
does come from helping people experience the value of your product. And even if it's a service that you're offering, just
Yeah.
really make sure you can show them that value as soon as possible.
Very interesting. Cool. Do you have any tips for generating leads as like a product? Because obviously when you launch anything, you have to generate leads. Do you have any recommendations like whether it's email marketing, building an email list, creating content, or even like social media marketing? Like sort of what sort of tips would you give like a business or even a product business?
Yeah, so it really depends on your space, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you are like very niche, which is a
Yeah,
good thing, you might want to try a virtual summit. I mean,
for sure.
I've been hosting the product led summit twice now, and there's a reason I did it a second time.
For sure.
And it's a really powerful way to connect with people in your space, much like podcasting, like we're doing here.
For sure.
It's just at a bigger scale.
Yeah.
And I think with the way events work and people get excited about them, they share it with a lot of people. And so I just think, in terms of really, if you want to grow your list,
Mm-hmm.
there's almost no better vehicle than the virtual summit.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, like, and you're bringing all together all these people, not only like the teachers, but also people that are viewing and like attending, which is very cool. I really like that. Uh, is there anything that you're learning right now? Like, it doesn't even have to be product-led related, just in general.
Yeah, so I have become this huge nerdy history buff.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, so
Very
like
cool.
whenever I fly over a country, since I fly quite a bit, I like try and
Hmm.
go on Audible, find some book about that country and just go through it. So right now I'm doing
Nice.
like the rise and fall of China. So
Very
interesting.
cool. Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. I used to take a lot of history classes back in high school. And even like in university, I took like all my electives were history based, like Roman civilization, all that sort of stuff. Just fascinating, crazy.
Yeah, so many stories in each country, and it's like that you can really understand people so much better from that country.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Just and you're sort of you sort of find these like nuggets of like history when you actually go to the city. Like you'll be like, "Oh, this is like a crazy like monument, but people aren't
Mhm.
there to see it, and you're like the only person that knows about it. It's wild. It's very cool though.
Definitely.
What country do you want to go to in the future? Because you're traveling a lot. What's your sort of next destination?
Yeah, so right now it's either Hawaii or
Okay.
Portugal. So
Oh,
yeah,
very
trying to
cool.
decide which one.
What's the purpose behind it?
So at least with the next place, it's really just for finding like a lot of different areas and learning about the cultures, and also just seeing like where is a good spot where you can avoid winter.
That's that's true too.
If I'm
That's
being
true too.
honest.
Yeah, no, that's true. Do you have any travel tips for people? I just thought we might as well
I've
talk
got
about this because you're into
one good
travel.
one.
Yeah?
So my first experience in Thailand was like, oh, that first day was a little brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when we landed, it was like 2 a.m. at night,
Okay.
and we got like these cab drivers, which is great. I got the map loaded on my phone since there's
For
Wi-Fi at
sure.
the airport. I'm like, let's go here. This is the
Yeah.
Airbnb,
Okay.
and then we're like going, and the cab driver's like, oh. I don't know addresses. I'm not postman. And we're
Oh
like,
my God.
ah, yeah, like we're in another country kind of deal. Like we
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
really realize that was a thing. So that ended up just like not working out. Walking around for like 5 hours, it finally just like decided, you know what, screw it. No, no Airbnb. We're just gonna find any place because
Yeah.
we're tired at that point. But moral of the story: if you really are going to another country that you're not familiar with,
Hmm.
just don't do Airbnb. I am really taking a flag against Airbnb. You can do it for the
Really?
other part of the trip, but the thing you want to do, especially if you don't know the country, if you've never been there, just
Okay.
do a nice hotel for the first day. Just the first day. You don't have to
Interesting.
like go crazy, but just find something where it's like it will be a location a lot of the local cab drivers. No, it'll
Oh, okay.
be easy for you to get there. And then after, you can really walk around, explore the city, get that Airbnb if you really want. But
Yeah.
if you really want to save yourself some trouble, especially in a developing country,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, go the other option.
That's actually really great advice because even for when it comes to like safety and feeling comfortable, like going to like a nice place, like and you know it's a nice place, that's stress just off your shoulders.
Yeah,
And then the next day you can walk around when there's daylight and figure it out. That's very
exactly.
interesting. Do you usually stay in hostels or like what's your sort of what's your motive, I guess?
Yeah, no, I don't do hostels anymore, but
No?
yeah, mostly just finds whether it's Airbnb, but not on the
Hmm.
first day, or
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's lots of places you can just, I mean, it depends on the country, but at least whenever it's in Thailand, like you just walk around and try and find like, oh, this place looks good, and you
For
just go
sure,
check it
yeah.
out. So it's pretty simple.
That's really cool. I actually have a friend that's doing med school in St. Vincent. It's like a small Caribbean island.
Okay.
It's near Trinidad. Um, but what she was saying is that because she's living there now and she's doing med school, is that, you know, if people try to, like, if her parents try to send her something, overseas, uh, she has to put in specific like destinations so the package can go there because on her street and many of the residential streets they don't have addresses at all. They
Yeah.
just don't have street names, they don't have numbers, it's the street with the blue house.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be pretty
crazy.
hard.
Yeah, it's wild. So like if you're shipping anything it's just like who do you send it to? I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
now if you want to curb that Amazon addiction, like I mentioned before,
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
that country. It's
Oh, I
easy.
have to. Yeah, no, that it's true. Like I might need that to be honest. I need an Amazon detox a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, what sort of emerging technologies are you looking forward to? It can be like it doesn't even have to be business related. Is there anything you're looking forward to in the world of technology?
Yeah, so I guess the one I'm like more interested in kind of getting is, or even getting into for
Hmm.
technology and emerging tech, is just understanding your body a lot better. Like
Okay.
whether it's how you sleep
Yep.
and trying to optimize that. Like, should you drink water at 7 or 8? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, like trying to find out like how to figure that stuff out because it's like we're just human. We don't
For
really
sure.
analyze our blood or our um, heartbeat to really understand like, okay, what is the best optimizing route here for us to do? Should we eat at 5, 6? I don't know. And so I think there's just so much stuff out there that is going to really change the way we live and even have more energy and everything else. So I think in terms of what I'm looking forward to most, without naming specific technology, I think that's the best thing that's going to definitely happen, at least that I'm excited about.
Yeah, so like health and fitness related.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, like there's gonna be like crazy stuff. Like even like what they have now, like even, heart rate monitors, it's not the old school like where you have to put it on your chest, just on the wrist, like in your watch. It's just crazy. Like my smartwatch does heart rate, does elevation, does everything. And it's perfect. It's perfect.
Definitely.
And it's only gonna get better, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. Since we're talking about technology, we might as well talk about some very cool things that I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if you follow like the emerging techs and stuff like that. But even like Adam Savage, you know who Adam Savage is?
No, not too
He's
familiar with them.
you definitely know who he is. He's from MythBusters. He's the guy, not with the crazy mustache. You know the guy with the crazy mustache? He's the other guy, the redhead guy.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically he recently did this project, and it was crazy. So he and his team, they created a actual Iron Man suit, and it actually
Okay.
flies. It's insane. So
Nice.
it's nuts. So you should definitely check it out. But like just emerging tech like that, it just blows my mind, and that's just like the start for these crazy things. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't know. I'm with you though on the health and fitness stuff because that's going to be the future for sure.
Definitely.
Are you into like fitness right now? Like what sort of do you do? What's your like daily routine?
Yeah, so I mean, for fitness, depends where I am. I try
Hmm.
and like make advantage of whatever is near me.
For sure.
But at least when I'm in Canada, I love running and biking.
Yeah,
And
nice.
so, yeah, I've been trying to do a lot more of that.
Very
So
cool.
usually once a day.
Yeah. So do you go outside or do you like home trainer? Like,
Oh, I cannot handle treadmills. I'm the
yeah.
worst. I
Uh,
cannot get on
it's
those
not
things.
fun.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
I just don't get people that like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just love going outside. It's almost one of those things where it's kind of like meditating. You just kind of
Hmm.
run. You have, I don't know, a lot of time to think.
For sure.
And yeah, some of the best, like whether it's business ideas or other stuff I have is always while running.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm into running and biking myself. I recently got into duathlons this summer.
Nice.
It's like it's basically triathlons but without the swimming, so it's running and biking. It's
Yeah.
it's it's fun. It's a lot of fun, painful but fun. Great exercise.
Is the
So
biking first or the running?
the run, it's a run. So like basically the last one I did was a
Okay.
5K run, and then it goes into a 20K bike, and then a 2.5K run. So
Interesting.
yeah, so by the time you get off the bike, your legs are like jello, and you gotta
Yeah.
force yourself just to get going again. But it's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah, I know the order really matters. I was doing a long course triathlon a couple
Okay.
years ago, and it was
Yeah.
just like you do the 80-kilometer bike ride, and then you're gonna do this 15 or 18K run. And it's
Yeah.
just like the first couple kilometers, it's just your legs are bricks. Like
Oh
there
yeah.
is so much lactic acid in them. They're like, move, get out of here. I gotta
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
move these legs.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like even like by the end of the race, you're just done. It's just game over. But that's cool. Like it's fantastic to go outside and work out. Like even like doing body weight workouts outside, like it's just like amazing. It's just a lot of people don't do it, and I don't know why. Like even going to the gym, like you'll see it's a beautiful day and people are running on the treadmill. It's just like just go
Yeah.
outside. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. What's your daily routine like?
Yeah, so usually wake up at 6, do a
Okay.
run or bike, and then I have oatmeal. I am a huge
Okay.
oatmeal fan. And while I'm doing that, I try and make it productive. And I usually listen to a book for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And the thing I used to do, which was really demotivating, is just like try and listen to like a book in a week or something like that.
Mhm.
But I just found it's just like I've thrown away so much good knowledge and not actually taking action. And so my new thing is like I'll just listen to like whether it's a podcast or a book, and as soon as I get a good takeaway, I'll just write it down and think about it and stop the
That's
book
awesome.
because I
Oh,
think it's
nice.
so easy to really just try and like binge read or go through all this content, and it's like it's
It's
not
true.
helpful.
Yeah,
I think we're all sitting on gold mines of ideas. It's
for
just
sure.
we got to get that pickaxe out and
For
actually
sure.
make use of it. So that's what I'm really trying to do. And so after the breakfast, I really just work.
Okay,
But
cool.
whenever I'm working, I am a huge fan of doing like 1 hour kind of work sessions. So I'll work for an hour using like brain.fm, which I'm not sure
Okay.
if you've heard of.
I've never heard of
Um,
it, no.
but it's like kind of just like really relaxing music that
Okay.
puts your brain in like basically work state mode.
Hmm.
And so you can focus really well. And so just work, yeah, for a
Very
little
cool.
bit. And then that's pretty much it for the workday.
Yeah, and you just call it a day. Cool. So are you a morning guy?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not. I am definitely a night guy. I don't know. The mornings do not work well for me. But obviously I have to wake up for work and stuff like that. But yeah, if I ever had to choose between sleeping in or waking up early, it'd be definitely sleeping in. It's just my life. Is there anything that you really want to learn this year?
That's a good question. So one of the things for this year is my theme. And
Okay.
so I am really just focusing on foundation this
Okay.
year. And so whether it's in your personal life or business, that's
Hmm.
really what I'm trying to learn more about. And just like whether it's your business, like obviously you need your sales, your marketing, and your relationships in order to really make it work.
For
And
sure.
same thing for your personal life. Like we
Yeah.
have relationships that we need to maintain as well as grow and really build that network. And
Hmm.
then there's your obviously like career and how you're going to prioritize that. And so there's a lot of things that I'm just trying to really look at, including habits and just saying like, is this really going to serve me for where I want to be in the next
For
three,
sure.
10 years? If not,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like I got to work on really kind of cutting that out.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Like, yeah, especially the daily habits. Like, I'm actually reading a book right now called Atomic Habits, and
Good
it's all
one.
about habits. Yeah, it's a very good book. I read I think it was The Power of Habit years ago. This is like kind of an extension on it, but they actually have like some really good examples on like habit stacking and stuff like that. It's very interesting. But one of the things it talks about, which is what you just touched on, is that like are these habits serving you for what you really want to do? Like, these
Mhm.
bad habits, like are habits going to serve you to, help you accomplish your goal? Because there's a lot of filler stuff in your days. Like that's just how it is. Um, I don't know. It's just very interesting. It gets you thinking like, oh, should I be like spending an hour playing video games or should I just cut it down by at least, 45 minutes? You know what I mean? Like it gets you
Yeah,
thinking on how to structure your day because
it's
what you
so
do like
true.
every day. Yeah.
And it's so easy for like new habits to pop up. Like I know with the summit,
Yeah.
I keep checking the dashboard to see how many attendees come. And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I probably check it like 20, 25 times, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, today. And I'm just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
just be focusing on getting more attendees. And so
I
there's
have a
some silly things like that.
I have a question for you too. Do you
Yeah.
get a notification whenever somebody signs up?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you have to physically go to the dashboard.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the worst is when like you're like say waiting for like a notification or something, but you know you're gonna get the email, but you keep like refreshing. That's the worst. That's the worst of it. Like even in like school and stuff, I used to do that. Like, oh, they're gonna post the grades, so like let's just keep refreshing. I know they're gonna email it to me. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. It's mayhem. Do you have any hobbies right now aside from work?
Yeah, so I'm one of the few people I probably say like work is my hobby
Hmm.
and I really love it. But in terms of other stuff I'm really working on, I recently took up motorbike riding.
Oh,
And so I've been
nice.
taking a bunch of dirt bike courses as well as big bike courses,
Very
and
cool.
it's so much fun just having
That's
I don't know,
crazy.
big motorbike and I don't know, there's something about it. It's just so much more fun than driving a car.
Yeah, yeah. I can only imagine. So do you have a bike?
No, not yet.
No? Okay, cool. That's very cool, man. Like, so do you want to do dirt biking like just for fun? Like, what's your sort of goal with that? What are you
Yes.
interested in?
So I love like at least on the weekends
Hmm.
doing weekend trips where you just try and find like whether it's a new national park or
Very
hunt a
cool.
waterfall or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So that's yeah what I've been doing quite a bit. But yeah, in terms of like whether it's dirt bike or big bike, I think like if you are actually going to ever go down the like riding a big bike kind
Hmm.
of way, definitely take dirt bike courses because it's like even if you don't want to go use a dirt bike, it teaches you how to actually handle stuff when stuff goes wrong.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's like, all right, it's totally useful.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, especially with those bikes. A lot of people don't realize how heavy like bikes are or like
Yeah.
how bad things can go. Like if you're not paying attention, if you're not being careful. So that's cool. That's a very interesting hobby. Like that's awesome. That's very cool. Um, let's talk about a couple more things, and then we'll wrap it up. Who are your idols, just in general, like business, career?
Yeah. So one of the things, at least in business, that I love is
Mm,
just long-term thinkers. And I don't think there's enough of them.
mm,
There's really very few people that will look at their business and say, I want this to be around for over a century.
okay.
And I think some people that are really good at that is obviously the products we use every day, like Amazon, you're mentioning
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
they take a very long-term approach to building a business. And I really admire that because it's so rare. I think we live in a world, especially now with all these like scammy marketers,
For sure.
where anyone can just, if you got a Facebook ad account, you can make it work. But they
Oh, I
just
guess, yeah.
promise like this quick win world where you just do this, you buy this course, and you make 1 million. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, come on, like selling what? You're like spammy course. And
Yeah.
so it's just pathetic. It's like you're thinking of just short term, short term.
For
And
sure.
so I think in even just the way I try and structure my life, it's just like whether it's even the relationships you
Yeah.
try and nurture, yeah, have that long-term approach. Don't do business with anyone who doesn't think long-term. And I think it's easier said than done, like anything
Yeah.
else. But yeah, that's kind of at least one of them that I look up to.
That's awesome. I'm really happy you mentioned the spammy marketers because that's one thing that really grinds my gears. And it's just insane. Like I've had a couple podcasts where I actually just ranted about that for probably half an hour.
Yeah.
But just like, the Facebook ads, the YouTube ads, those people that come up like do a drop shipping business, sign up for my e-course. And they're gonna give you their free webinar, which is basically just selling their e-course. And it's just crazy. It's crazy. And I always recommend to people that like are considering like, oh, I can get like 10,000 Instagram followers if I do this course. you
Hmm.
know, Follow the person for a very long, like follow the person for a while before you buy anything from them to make sure
Definitely.
they're legit. Like one example that I've given before in regards to that is that like, because I blog, I don't blog a lot anymore. Like it's mostly podcast blogging sort of thing. Um, but basically, when I was first getting into blogging, I followed this person that had this blog. Uh, if you're not into blogging, you wouldn't know her. Her name's Helen, and she's got like this travel blog, super like big on social media and stuff like that. But she has a course, and she has like sort of a webinar, but also like she does this course pack with other bloggers that give their tips and stuff like that. But I followed her for months before I even considered getting anything from her. Because even though it's like might be $100, it's $100, and if it's a scammer, like you're gonna lose that $100, right? So
Definitely.
I always recommend people just following the person, like even yourself. Like I can see you posting on LinkedIn every day, content like long form content, like giving tips, all that sort of stuff, which is legit. It makes people understand that like, oh, this isn't just like I'm just asking for money, to take my e-course. It's like legit
Hmm.
tips. You do it every day, um, and you're not just trying to take people's money. You're actually trying to
Definitely.
help them, which is a very important thing, I find.
For sure.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the biggest problems right now with this whole digital marketing thing. Is that I don't know, a lot of people have been able to make a quick buck, and it frustrates me because it makes people like us look bad because you get put into that stereotype like, oh, they're just a digital marketer, and I think eventually you're going to see a rise of people that that provide value, um, whereas like just random freelancers that just downloaded Buffer for the first time and started saying they're social media experts, they're gonna have to drop off. There's no way that can sustain the way it does now. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
um
And I think that's also why product-led growth not to keep plugging that out there,
No,
but
it's
why
all
it's
good.
working. And it's
Yeah,
like you can totally call people out on their shit. If you sign up for the product, it doesn't deliver, you might know in 5 minutes.
yeah,
And I think when you do deliver, it just is the quickest thing to build trust. And that's
for sure.
really what it comes down to. It's like companies have been promising so many things. They really
Yeah,
overpromise, underdeliver, and we're all really like upset about that. And we want to build that trust and actually be like, can you actually do this stuff? Let me
yeah,
try. And if you can, great. I can become a customer soon. But if not, it's like, well, okay, no harm done.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think like one of the other issues, other than like, people not understanding like the whole trust relationship and stuff like that, is that a lot of people expect results right away, which is another issue that these, scam, marketers have sort of brought to the table. Like people like expected like, oh, I want 10,000 followers and I want it to happen, yesterday. And it's just like, it's, for anything, you're not going to get an app to 1,000 downloads overnight. It all takes time. You have to set it up properly. Like, so I think it's very interesting to see how marketing is sort of dealing with these people. I don't know.
Yep.
Just kind of it's just very interesting because I'm sure you experience the same thing because you're always looking at probably marketing websites, marketing information. So you probably get all YouTube targeted ads catered towards marketing, people trying to sell you a course, and it's just frustrates me. Just frustrates me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Um, is there anything to talk that you want to talk about before we wrap up? I have a few more questions, but is there anything that you want to hit on?
No.
Okay, cool. We'll hop into like our weekly segment, which is the book of the day. Do you have any book recommendations that you want, people, you know, should read? Is there anything that you think people should read? Anything that you enjoy?
Yeah, so I think one common thread that a
Hmm.
lot of people could learn a lot from is reading the book Never Eat Alone. And
Okay.
so this is one of the books that I've recently gone back to actually a couple times. And it's just some great reminders about how to really prioritize building your network. And so whether you're
Hmm.
just trying to build a robust personal or career,
For sure.
it just comes in handy. Like you got to invest the time to really build relationships. And I think as you get older, it definitely gets harder, but you got to build that habit. It's like, are you making intros to people
For
in
sure.
your network and helping them out? And so I think if you are consistently doing that, you're just going to see some opportunities come your way that you never thought would.
Yeah, I really like that. So Never Eat Alone. Do you know who that's by?
Keith
Uh,
Ferrazzi.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll link it in the show notes and stuff like that. Do you have any app recommendations? Anything that you use that's sort of different? Um, can be anything, to be honest.
Yeah, so I use brain.fm.
Okay.
And so
Yep.
that's the one service I was talking about where it's just music, but
Mm-hmm.
there's really nothing too much going on. It just
For
helps you
sure.
focus. And
Yeah.
so I love it if you do are at least into deep work.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like I think all those little tools help out. I'll definitely try that one out. But like I've tried like so many different productivity tools. I'm always been super fascinated with it. Like if you use Chrome, there's something for Facebook. It's a newsfeed eradicator, so it gets rid of your
I
news
have that
feeds.
too. It's good.
Yeah, yeah, like it's perfect. It stops you from wasting time when you should really be working. And especially when it comes to like social media, like you can just waste so much time. So
Definitely.
like, yeah, so simple tools like that are just very helpful. So that's awesome. Do you have any learning resources that you think people should, check out? It can be like a website, a blog. Like, is there anything that you follow?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're in the SaaS space and
Hmm.
really just want to learn the new way to grow a software business, check out the productledsummit.com.
Okay, cool, sweet. Um, what's all your social media stuff? Your promotion for your book. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so everything's at productled.com.
Okay, productled.com. And what are you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me at Twitter at Wes_Bush, and
Okay.
then just type in Wes Bush or crazy product led growth guy on LinkedIn.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So let's wrap this up. The last thing that we do on every episode is a question of the day, a question that you can ask the audience, anybody that's listening. It can be a thought-provoking question, or it could be just totally random, to be honest. In the past, we've had people like, we had a professional dancer on here, and he asked everybody, like, what's your passion? What are you passionate about? We had a power lifter on here that recently got injured. So he asked people, oh, why were you injured and how can you improve? You know what I mean? Like, so you don't get injured in the future. So do you have a question that you want people to answer?
Sure. How would you live your life differently if you knew you had less than 20,000 days left?
Wow, that's crazy. That is a very good question. So thank you so much for coming on. I think this was a fantastic episode. I think we got through a lot of stuff. I really appreciate you coming on, especially since you just did this whole book thing. That's awesome, man. I actually have one more question about the book. How did you enjoy writing the book? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah,
Like
it was
the
a lot of
process?
fun.
Yeah.
And there's this one quote which I really enjoyed when I was halfway through it. Like the really tough part when you realize, like, wow, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I have to do this all over again since I'm halfway.
For sure. Yeah.
And it was just the fact that, like, you can write a book and get all the value. Like, even if you don't even sell a single copy, it's going to be worth it. And that is because it really is clarifying your whole process. And so even before I was done the book, it had already helped me, even just lockdown consulting engagements, because I really understood what I was doing. And it wasn't that I was just this fraud and didn't understand what I was doing, but no, I had a process and I could really show people and walk people through it because I had actually gone through that whole process where you take everything in your brain, you throw it on paper, and writing is such a good way to clarify your thoughts.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, even like you just created a blueprint and you know, what they say is like, oh, if you can teach something, that's when you actually know what you're talking about, you know, because you're able to articulate whatever you know or whatever you think you know. And, you know, that's amazing. I might as well ask a couple more questions about the book thing because I think it's just such a cool thing. What was your process like every single day? Did you write every single day or whenever you had a thought?
Yeah, so I was really structured. And that's just because I'm like this huge routine guy.
That's all good,
But for 6 months, spent 3 hours every single workday in the morning writing. And I would also recommend writing in the morning because you don't have a bunch of thoughts in your head. And it really depends, I guess, on, you might be the night person. So talking to the wrong person. But find your time, stick to it, guard it religiously. Sure, things do pop up, but just give yourself that time.
I love it, man. That's very cool. Congrats on the book.
Thanks.
Where can everybody get the book? Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, or if you just want the link to the book, productledbook.com.
Perfect. Awesome. So everybody make sure you check out Wes Bush. He's a fantastic guy. We go way back. It was great to have you on, man. Like, it was great to catch up. We'll have to do this again sometime. Without the Skype audio issues. Shout out to Skype for having my personal information. But yeah, this was fantastic, man. It was great to catch up.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Living the Canadian dream.